I was learning a little bit of what God is doing right now in this church. And I'm just like, Pastor Dave, I just went through some of these same things about aligning up with God and aligning with what God wants us to do. And just this morning I want to share a little bit about going God's pace. Because sometimes as Christians, we tend to get overwhelmed. Anybody ever get overwhelmed? At least if you want to admit it. Okay, I'm the kind of person I don't want to admit it. And then I realize, oh, I'm overwhelmed. Because I grew up, don't show your feelings and emotions, you know? And I have ministered and served in a community for the last 5.5 years that was very stone-faced. So please smile. Thank you. And I was in the middle of a worship one time, and you have to realize when your worship people are standing up here, they'll get a glimpse of you out there. And I was up at worship, and I tend usually not to look at the congregation if I'm playing. But one day I decided I'm up there in the church that I actually attend in Belize, Mennonite Evangelical Mennonite Mission Church, and so I'm there playing, and and it was a happy song, and I don't remember what it was, but basically like the joy of the Lord is my strength, right? And when I looked out, I got the joy of the Lord is my strength. And it struck my heart because God gave us emotions, but he gave them to us as messengers. Messengers that tell us which way to go. And I just went through a study during this time of sabbatical that I've had. I'm ending this month officially sabbatical, which I've never had in there. And it was freeing. Honestly, I prior to going on sabbatical, I called Pastor Dave and I said, Pastor Dave, I need to do this. I really want to do this, but I want people to know that I'm doing it, and I'm not leaking out on them and not, doing what you've sent me to do, which is to share the gospel. And so he's like, oh yeah, you're good. And every church that supports me, there's 2 other churches in Oshkosh area that support me, and other supporters individually, they all said, well, it's about time. After 40 years, it's about time. And for me, growing up in Wisconsin and doing all the work, here we go, I got to produce, I got to do, because that's what we have to do, because if we don't produce it, we don't do, and then we're just not going to go anywhere. We just got to keep going. We got to be like Dr. Bevel, who's ever ready bunny, because that's all, he just goes. But I know him better because I've stayed at his house. He crashes, and I'm so glad. But that is what we do. And so what I want to share with you this morning is about living at God's pace, because that's what I've had to learn to do. For the first month on sabbatical, I was sleeping because that's the only way I could slow down. I did a few things. God allowed me to do some fabulous things while I've been on sabbatical. And but learning to live at God's pace. When we run for a long distance, and I used to do that, operative words, but I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I would run a couple miles, 2 or 3 miles. And I realized very quickly as I started, I couldn't just go full blast out there, from my house and going down to the S-curve and coming back. I had to pace myself. And we have to pace ourselves in life. And living at God's pace is even better. And so I'm going to talk about a little bit of what I've been learning during my sabbatical and what God has got on the other side of May 6th when I return. But I just give you an invitation to slow down. I give you a way just to slow down this morning and to walk in the way of love, in which you do in there, but just to slow down. But before I get to that, I got to ask you a question. Is it possible to follow Jesus without feeling overwhelmed? It's an important question that was asked to me. Because when I went to Belize 40 years ago, I was going to make sure that the prime minister and everybody knew Jesus. So I had to go, 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 go. Is it possible to stop feeling like there's never enough time? Is it possible to avoid being physically and emotionally and spiritually drained? Is it possible to make thoughtful, prayerful decisions instead of rushed ones? Because the world wants to rush us. Well, if you don't buy this car today, somebody's going to come along tomorrow, and we already got buyers for it. If you don't want to buy this house, and there's big decisions we have to. If you don't do it right now. But can we make thoughtful decisions? Can we be fully present with the people of God that He has placed in front of us? How many of you eat around the table with a cell phone? How many of us how well do we feel? Or what do we feel like when we're engaging in a conversation? I don't even have it on me. I can't even give an illustration. I think it's here. I normally leave my cell phone on Sunday mornings when I go to church. I leave this thing in my car. It doesn't come to church with me. Oh, but I got my Bible. The church has Bibles too. You see, we have gone a different pace. We've gone to convenience. I practice that. And on Good Friday, I have a foster daughter, Helena. She is 20 years old. She is Mennonite. Grew up as a Mennonite child. And I've had her since she was 16. And now she's in college. And, that generation, those millennials, I tell you, they're really great. They know a whole lot more on that technology than I know. So I got somebody instantly inside to help me. But the thing is I challenged her and myself on Good Friday. Because in Belize, we I know y'all did Maudie Thursday because I was here via the Zoom. But also, they don't do Maudie Thursday there, but they do. Everything is shut down on Good Friday. There's no businesses open. It's shut down. And traditionally, Good Friday, you go to church and you come home, and that's it. You don't turn the television on. You don't do anything. You might read a book. I love it. I absolutely love it. But I challenged myself and her. I said, we went to Good Friday service in the morning, and we got home by 12 o'clock, and I said, we are not going to use our phones from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. We're not going to use them. In fact, we're actually going to turn them off, not on silent. So we're going to turn them off. Going at God's pace. And I realized through that if I can't shut down and go at God's pace, shut down my life in a sense, and go at God's pace, then I need to reevaluate some things. Because the world's standards has told us we must have it on, We must scroll and scroll and look. And technology is great. I love it. Now, the AI thing and schools and things, I just call it artificial idiot, but not artificial intelligence. And it's a great tool, and it's done some great things, but it has distorted reality to the point that we can watch a video and not even know whether it's AI or not. Now, the younger generation probably can, but I cannot. But Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 and 16 says, "Be careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil." Many of us operate in one speed, and that's fast. We want to go, go, go. We rush to appointments. We demand instant replies. How many of you, they didn't reply to me yet. I said it 3 seconds ago. I have a good friend, and if I don't reply, there's like, I saw you online, and you didn't reply to me. I'm like, and your point is? Vincent de Paul once said, "He who hurries delays the things of God." You know what Jesus' pace is? It's a speed of love. That's Jesus' pace. If we look at Jesus' life, when he came to earth, when God came to earth, he didn't sprint. Pastor, is there any place in the Bible that says Jesus ran? Is there any place? Not Jesus. He walked, and he walked slowly. And how are we to walk? Well, God walks slowly because he is love. We'd go a whole lot faster. He would go a whole lot faster if he wasn't love. We have an inner speed. We have a spiritual speed. There's different kinds of speed, technological speed. And we're all accustomed to that, but we're not accustomed to slow. We even speed walk. Been there, done that. It says in Ephesians chapter 2, "Walk in the way of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering, a sacrifice." Walk in the way of love. Or NIV version says, live in the way of love. Did Jesus live at the speed of anxiety? Did he live like that? Or did he live at the speed of love, where he took time to stop and to notice and to heal and to speak? He lived present to his Father and to those around him. Now, during my sabbatical, y'all, I struggled with that. I really did. Because all of my life up until that point, I was go, go, go. And being single, I didn't have anything that really divided me to do anything else. And I appreciate, that ability to do that. But what did it do to me? For the last 5.5 years, it literally put me in a place of performance. I jumped on that performance treadmill. Man, I was like, yeah. And when you get on a treadmill, which I haven't been on in a while, but I have tried it, and I usually fall down on my face, so it usually goes faster than I can go. But when we get on a treadmill, we don't get on it running. We get on it real slow. And then we speed up, and we say, okay, how much faster I can go. When we get on a highway, we start with that car, and we're in a hurry. I've got to save 3 seconds to get there 3 seconds earlier, so I'm going to speed. And when we speed up and we speed up and we speed up. And for the last 5.5 years, I was consumed at leaving at 6:30 in the morning and getting home at 5, 6 o'clock at night. I was consumed with, and it was good. I was doing good things, but I was consumed doing instead of being. The result of that performance treadmill is burnout. I not only burned out, I burned up. I had nothing left in me. Even though the Wisconsin in me says, get up, go to work. Get up and do. And I did. But it took a toll on me. And I say this to anybody, and I shared this at the ladies' Bible study. I'll say this to anybody that's especially got a high demanding job, which one is teaching. That never stops. People think that teaching stops. It starts at whatever time you get in the morning. I don't know, what time do they get to school in the mornings here? 7:30? And it stops at 4. And then the teacher goes home and they have nothing to do. They just go on with life. No. Doctors are the same way. There's many professions, but sometimes we have, when I'm talking about ministry, what's the first thing when something happens? What do? Call Pastor. Call Pastor Dave. He's got to know this. Pastor Dave, how many calls have you gotten at midnight? Never mind, don't answer that. Ministry, and the same thing is with doctors. We all have demands on us, is basically what I'm saying. It's not just isolated to ministry, but because I've been in ministry for so long, that's all I can speak from. And not realizing that I was burned out. I knew it, but I didn't want to admit it. Bet you've never had a missionary come and share with you, hey, I've been in missions and I'm burned out. Ha ha! It's the reality of what happens in life overall. And for me to come up here and tell you everything is all roses and peaches and daffodils and everything, and it's just a wonderful life, I'd be lying to you, because missions is hard. Ministry is hard. Anything that we are dealing with other people is hard, and we have to realize to go at God's pace. And so I did. I said, I've got to stop. I had to resign in the middle of a school year, which is against my better judgment, but it wasn't against God's judgment. He said, now is the time, do it. And I did. And I was able to do things in this last 3 months that I was in Belize. I did my sabbatical all in Belize, and then this month up here. I leave tomorrow for Michigan for my last retreat, missionary retreat. And, during that time, and I'll be back on the 25th, but God allowed me to realize that I hadn't been talking to people. I'd been talking to him, of course, but I hadn't been talking to people, and I was so busy doing that I forgot to be. And I had to learn how to be again. To be or not to be, that is a question. It does not say to do or not to do, does it? It says to be or not to be, that is the question. And I had to learn how to be. And so I got opportunities to see people, and I had people, hey, I haven't seen you for a long time. What you doing? I said, I'm on sabbatical right now. Well, it's about time. Even the Belizeans told me it was about time. I just didn't know. Somebody please tell me. And so I got to do that. I got to go to a global leadership summit right after, the 8th or something like that of January. Got into that. Took somebody with me. And that I'm going to be partnering with when I get back in ministry. And we did that. And I got to see people and talk to people actually Like, I'd see him in the store, and I'd say, how you doing? And I actually had time to talk to him. I couldn't say, oh, I got to get back to school right now. I actually had time to talk to him. And I got to go through a Bible study very similar, I believe. I'll let Pastor Dave see the book. It's called Be Transformed. And another church was putting it on. And I just said, hey, can I do that too? And they're like, you're not from our church. I said, yeah, I know, but I still want to do it. Okay, you could do it. That's the body of Christ, loving each other and going at God's pace. And so then I did. And I went through 9 weeks. And it wasn't a big Bible study with people. It was the leader and me and one other person. Guess who had to do most of the talking? I usually don't have trouble talking. But I had to deal with some things. I had to deal with those emotions. And my favorite word now, renegade emotions. You know what were in that book, you know what renegade emotions were? Anger. I know you guys don't have it. Nobody. And jealousy and pride. Those are the renegade emotions. So now I can clump all those things. It's like I'm experiencing some renegade emotions here. And I'm not, like I said, I grew up not, we got to be strong kind of thing. And went through that process, went through what God has done, and getting back at God's pace, that I could spend time, quality time, and I found myself never really wanting, I just like, gosh, I need more. I need more. And that's the way it is. When we go in God's pace, we want more. And it's not about, again, it's not about doing, it's about being in there. And so as I what time you get out of church? 12? Eastern time. Okay, thank you. As I share some of this, the question is, how do you slow down? How do you live at God's pace? How do I do that? I've been doing it. I've been going and going and going. How do you slow down? Quit your job and be a hermit? No. First thing that comes across is take a Sabbath. Now, Exodus 20, verse 8 says, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. The Sabbath, this is important. Listen to this. If you're American, listen to this. I'm American too, so I'm listening, okay? The Sabbath is not God trying to keep you from getting things done. It's God giving you permission to stop, because you are not defined by your productivity. Let me read that one more time, okay? Because it's important, because I would venture to say you got plans after church today. But because, I've got to get this done. There might be good plans. I'm not, condemning that. Sabbath is not God trying to keep us from getting things done. It's God giving you permission to stop, because you are not defined by your productivity. Sabbath is a gift, not a burden. It's God's weekly reminder that He's in control and not you. Ephesians 4:24 says, we are to put on a new self, which He created. Now, I'm just giving you that little section of there, but he created it to rest in God, not to work endlessly for approval. When we practice the Sabbath, we declare with our life, I trust God enough to rest. The world says, grind harder, do it. God says, stop, rest, worship, delight. The Sabbath. In Belize, and I try to practice it up here when I can. And I understand there's circumstances. People have to work sometimes on Sundays, and God understands all of that. But our Sabbath doesn't necessarily have to be on Sunday. But I highly encourage all of us to take that day of Sabbath, that we just rest in the Lord, that we turn off the phone and tell everybody, my phone's off. See ya. And just take that Sabbath and rest. In Belize, my Sundays, Sunday morning, I did sunrise service Easter Sunday morning. I was at church at 4 a.m. for sunrise service, and then the sun never did, well, it rose, but it never shone. It stayed behind the cloud, and I said, this is really a bummer. I was really looking for this bright sun, and then God just says, nope. But it didn't rain until the end, and we were outside. So I had to go like this, playing the bass guitar and just kind of step underneath. I don't know why, they put all of us outside the roof. Everybody else was inside, we were outside. But just to take that rest, and they had breakfast afterwards, and then I went to another church service because we had time, because we did the sunrise service, so I went to another one. So we finally got home at 12. You know what I did in the afternoon? Mata slope. You know what mata slope is? Nap time. That's one of my favorite words in Plaudich is mata slope. I'm going to go take a nap, regenerate. That's what God gives us. And sometimes our rest is in different ways, but God is there. So give the Sabbath. And I want to close with this because it's really important with this part here. Pause for prayer throughout the day. Pause for prayer. Anytime, just pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. Pause for prayer. Take time when you're driving down the road. If you're driving to work, take that time. Pray. Pause. Sometimes we think prayer is just in the morning or the evening because you got your bedtime prayers and say your prayers before you go to bed. But throughout the day, speak to the Lord. It's called talking to the Lord. So what am I going to do? Now I've got this Sabbath here. I'm getting realigned. Has that kind of been a buzzword around here? Realigned? Maybe a little bit. Talk about realignment, Doc. But the thing is that for the first time that I'll be serving in Belize, I'm not going to be at a particular school. Through the years, the relationships that I've had with people, I've been able to do many things. I have been asked to be part of opening or starting a Christian university. That one's kind of out there yet. It hasn't sunk in because I'm like, I don't know if I could. A Christian university in Belize for teachers, but do teacher training. That's still out there. But what I do know, when I get back, right on the 10th of May, I'm going to be doing some homeschooling at a girls' school for some girls that are not able to go to school. They've been taken out of their home through social services and placed in this girls' home, and they come from all over Belize, but they can't get into school right now. So I'm going to be going in and doing some one-on-one homeschooling with them, and doing mainly reading and math with them. The other door that God has opened up is, I told you that I took somebody along with me to that Global Leadership Summit, Shannon Ramirez, and we're going to be partnering together. She's Belizean, and this is the thing. It's not about me. It's like, how can I help you? I've always wanted to support people in different ways and to enable people to do things. So when we prayed about it, we looked around, we were trying to find a place. She is a teacher, certified teacher, has her license, and she has done tutoring after school for kids that parents, and for that part, she has to have a living, so she's been doing it with parents that can pay. But she wants to do more ministry type things. And I know her from about 5 years ago. We, when I was at the Emerald Christian School, she was a special ed teacher, and we were in the same office because there was no place other than my office to do special ed. So we got to know each other very well. And so we're looking for places, and we find this one place, 800, Belize dollars, and you got to pay this, and you got to pay that, and da-da-da-da-da. And we're like, man, that's way out there in the budget, right? So I'm walking around, and I said, you know what? I'm going to contact my friend, Michelle, and I know she used to do this thing called Glory Girls, and so I know she had a place. And lo and behold, I called her, and I said, hey, Michelle, yeah, what you doing? I said, okay. I said, do you still have a place that you used to do your Glory Girls? He says, yeah, we haven't done anything for we had a ministry in there for at least 5-10 years. I said, can I use it? Yeah, sure, I'll ask the people. So we have probably a building not as wide as this, but a little bit thinner, but about this size, that God gave it to us rent-free. We're just going to pay the utilities. And so Shannon will take care of the utilities. What I am trying to do now is help her set it up. And then we'll do ministry in there, children's ministries, VBSs, just different things. Women's, they're like, it's endless, right? She's like, now that I got this place, and, called Glory House. I mean, give God the glory, right? So that's, again, she's going to be the front runner. I get to be the behind-the-scenes person. And then also I have an opportunity to work with a Independent Baptist missionary that is opening up a school, a Christian school in a village, and he wants me to just come down and do some consulting with the education system that he has. So I get to be in the back. I don't have to be out there in the front, but I can just be able to use what the gifts that God's given me to be able to facilitate. So that's some of the things that I'm looking long term, and I'll trickle into it. Also have kids camp for the 11th year or 12th year. I don't remember what it is that I do along with my church. And then basketball camp. So if there's anybody who's got the hankering to want to still go to Belize, there are people here from Oshkosh. They're actually from like 4 or 5 different churches: Plymouth Church, Countryside Church, Community Church, River Valley Church, and I think there's one other one as well, that have come together. So it's a multi-church group. They're coming together and doing our basketball camp, which is coming in the end of June. So there's still time to jump on if you wanted to think about just coming and say, I don't know anything about basketball. That's okay. They don't either. It's good because we're talking about Jesus and it's VBS, right? So those are some things. And then I'm planning on, when school starts back, I continue with what I'm doing. I'm also praying about going to Ethiopia in November. I have an opportunity to do that. And that would be going and serving over there for like a week, but going with somebody from here. So I'm praying for that. And so God's going to have me moving around. I'm not going to be stuck in one spot. And I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do. Those God sightings, daily God sightings. And for prayer requests, because of the Learning Center, I do have needs. We need to fix the electrical in it, update the electrical, so that's going to cost about $500 to get that just because of the prices of things in Belize, electrical. And I'm looking for those nice little blue chairs that are down there in your Sunday school. I need some of those too. If you know anywhere else like Goodwill or somebody that has a little small chairs like 14 inches high, because I'm going to build the tables and things, but I'm looking for some chairs, and all of that costs money, of course, and I can't not say this, because this church and folks in this church for the last 2 years, I think it's the last 2 years, have provided endless boxes of books and teacher supplies. And those went to Belize, and they have been dispersed. The school that I was at, we have approximately 2,000 books in that library now. And that's because of folks right in here and there, and along with the teaching supplies. And I spread that out through, I'd sent Pastor Dave some pictures. I don't know if he shared any of those pictures with you, but you know, and we gave them out and gave them to teachers. And I would love to continue. That's, you know, you talk about hands and feet ministry. Where's that hands and feet ministry? Okay, hands and feet, and extending that out and just really seeing what God is doing. And the ladies that were here back in September, you guys helped me load those boxes up, and now they've been given out to different folks in different places and for teachers to use. So those are the hands and feet, and God has prepared, and it continues to see us. But let's do it at God's pace. That's the main thing. As I go back, I'm going to be doing ministry at God's pace, not at my pace, which is a challenge for me. But God is there. So his mercies are faithful in everything. Pastor Dave, thank you for this opportunity. Please love me, and there's plates in the back there, so love me. It was in there.